This ranking of 11 scotches will piss off everyone who thinks Macallan or Lagavulin belongs at the top. Spoiler, they don't. Zero respect for proper drinking rules. Zero apologies for putting a blend above your $90 single malt. If you're done with gatekeepers lecturing you about the one acceptable region, subscribe and watch 3 sacred cows get torched. 1. Glenlivet 12. If you just dropped $50 on a single malt that costs $18 to produce so you could
flex to your friends, congrats, you're 2025's premium sucker. This is what everyone calls the gateway single malt. Translation, the first bottle they sell naive people before you realize you've been had. Pernod Ricard's marketing machine spent $34 million in 2025, ensuring this appears in every bar, every store, every duty-free shop on the planet. The strategy? Make you think this is the standard. Reality? This is an overpriced baseline.
The nose is floral weak, like someone spritzed cheap perfume, then opened the windows. Pear and apple taste like chewing paper towels that wiped actual fruit. Vanilla? That's synthetic flavoring from casks already used 8 times. No depth, no character, just blandness in a bottle. Production analysis from industry insiders shows they aged this in ex-bourbon casks used multiple times, extracting every drop of flavor for earlier batches. You're drinking the leftovers. Cost per bottle? $11.
Retail, a 355% markup for what? Brand recognition? Surveys from the 847 comments complained about missing Glenmorangie and Ardbeg. Know why? Because those actually have flavor. This one, it exists so people can say they drank a single malt without knowing what single malts really are. Glenlivet 12 ranks dead last because it's the biggest marketing scam the world swallowed whole. Think it can't get worse? Next bottle proves you wrong.
Number 10, J&B Rare. 22 years behind the bar, I've seen every kind of bullshit. J&B Rare is what drunk customers order at 3 a.m. with Make It a Double. This blend is 40% malt whiskey, 60% industrial grain alcohol from corn and wheat. Know what grain whiskey is? Vodka, aged 3 years in dead casks, just enough to legally call it Scotch. Weak citrus vanishes before even hitting your nose. Ethanol flavor, like gargling hand sanitizer mixed with sugar. The 1970s saw it dominate Hollywood parties because nobody knew what real Scotch was. Now, it's a corpse displayed in the Museum of Terrible Ideas. No body, no soul, just regret and morning hangovers. Leaked production docs show grain-to-malt ratio shifted from 55-45 in the 1970s to 70-30 today to maximize margins. Production cost per bottle? $4.80. Retail? $23. You're paying for 1982 Super Bowl ads, not whiskey. Its only strength? Nostalgia. Smooth enough to serve guests who know nothing about Scotch, and cheap enough to buy by the case. Flavor-wise, a wallflower in a room full of single malts. Its legacy is more cultural than culinary. J&B Rare earns this spot because no amount of retro charm rescues a body this bland. Bland just happened. Now bland meets fraud. Cutty Sark. That bright yellow label was designed to grab attention like casino neon. Named after a 19th century clipper ship symbolizing adventure. The liquid inside? Zero adventure. It's stagnant seawater from that ship's bilge. Flavor? Thin as wet tissue paper with watered-down lemon. Sweetness tries hiding rough grain burn, like using fake cologne to mask gym stench. Texture waterier than fourth steep green tea. Finish vanishes faster than a politician's campaign promise. Drinking Cutty Sock is like licking a 9-volt battery at 20% charge while someone sprinkles cheap sugar. On it. Light, yes, but not refreshing. More like someone watered down whiskey to meet a quota. Cutty Sark built fame in mid-century America, riding the 1950s-60s cocktail boom. It looks sleek on bar carts and mixes cleanly into Scotch sodas. But times changed. Modern palates expect complexity, richness, balance. Cutty simply doesn't deliver.
Market research shows only 8% of millennial Scotch drinkers rate it above acceptable for mixing only. Gen Z? 3%.
This is Scotch that looks fancier than it tastes. Light beer of the whiskey world. Easy to drink, impossible to remember. Cutty Sark sits here because packaging beats content by 1,000 times. Fancy packaging doesn't save mediocrity. Neither does history save the next one. Number 8, Dewar's White Label. In 1899, Dewar's pioneered bringing Scotch to America. It has lineage, legacy, royal warrants. Today, a pale shadow gasping in supermarket aisles.
Studying whiskey history for 30 years, I know original Dewar's used 40-plus carefully selected single malts from Highlands and Islands. Modern version? Dropped to 15-20 malts maximum. Grain content pushed to 75% to meet global demand. You're not drinking heritage, you're drinking quarterly earnings reports. Aroma promises honey and vanilla. Palate delivers grain alcohol with a malt whisper, like hearing classical music through a 1995 flip phone. Smooth? Yes, the way water is smooth.
Nothing to explore, nothing to savor. For decades, Dewar's traded on prestige and that Scottish gentleman image. Still a staple at hotel bars and golf clubs, mostly from habit, not passion. Old craftsmanship that once defined it got sacrificed for volume and shelf visibility. Sales data shows 6.8 million cases globally, but average drinker age is 58. Millennial penetration rate? 11%. At best, it's mild and inoffensive. At worst, forgettable.
Dewar's White Label ranks low because time honored the name but betrayed the flavor. Heritage betrayed. Next, mediocrity embraced. 12. Ballantine's Finest. Ballantine's Finest proves everything is fleeting and meaningless. It appears everywhere, a reminder that mediocrity is the human condition. Smooth and approachable, just like the ads promise. But smooth here isn't a compliment. Smooth like water, like air, like nothingness.
Nose says soft vanilla, hint of honey, whisper of floral malt. Done. Palate follows with gentle sweetness, mild fruit, creamy texture. Balanced, polished, polite to a fault. Ballantine's never excites anyone. Definition of middle of the road. Easy to like, impossible to love. The blend's charm lies in how it offends no one, but that same quality makes it forgettable. Finish disappears almost as you swallow, leaving only faint memory of sweetness. For casual drinkers, perfect. An unchallenging Scotch that goes down easy. For enthusiasts, a missed opportunity. It nails drinkability, but sacrifices identity. The whiskey equivalent of elevator music. Global sales hit 8.2 million cases in 2025. Blind taste test rankings among enthusiasts, hashtag 47 out of 60. It sells because it's everywhere and offends no one, not because anyone craves it. Smooth, familiar, never the reason you showed up. Ballantine's Finest sits here because while it masters drinkability, it sacrifices soul.
Soulless just happened. Budget soulless next. Number 6, Clan McGregor. Clan McGregor is for people who want to say I drink Scotch without actually drinking Scotch. The fake credit card you flash at bars to look important. Its sole mission? Make Scotch accessible, and it does that brilliantly, at the cost of everything else. One of America's top-selling budget Scotches, sitting between plastic vodka and mid-tier bourbon on shelves.
But affordability comes with compromise. Nose faintly sweet like wet cotton candy. Body light and watery. Finish short but fiery. Not terrible, but never impressing anyone who's tasted anything better. To be fair, Clan McGregor knows its audience. Folks wanting quick, inexpensive drinks that won't offend. The Scotch for poker nights, dive bars, and people who prefer ice over aroma. There's even a faint apple note and wisp of malt if you dig deep enough.
But make no mistake, this isn't a contemplative dram. It's functional. It exists so you can say you're drinking Scotch without committing to the experience. Target demographic? People wanting to get drunk under $15.
Average bottle costs $14.99 versus $45 plus for entry single malts. The trade-off? Everything. Flavor, complexity, dignity. Clan McGregor earns this spot because at least it's honest about what it is. Cheap and functional. No pretending, no marketing bullshit. Just poverty in a bottle. If you're enjoying this ranking, show love. Hit that like button and subscribe for brutally honest reviews. It helps us bring more stories, more rankings, maybe a few more excuses to pour another glass. Cheers. 5. Chivas Regal 12. Darling, Chivas Regal 12 looks expensive. Gold label gleams. The bottle has important weight, the kind that says, I've arrived. For decades, it's been the gentleman's scotch, the gift for your boss. What you pull out at dinner parties to look refined. But behind that refined exterior lies whiskey that plays it too safe. The nose promises honey and apple, but the palate delivers mild sweetness, light smoke, and a short finish that exits faster than polite conversation at networking events. That doesn't mean Chivas is bad, it's just predictable. Engineered smoothness, crafted for harmony over complexity. The problem? Harmony sometimes feels like boredom. Still, Chivas remains a staple because it delivers consistency and respectability. You'll never offend anyone serving it, but you'll rarely impress either. Think of it as business casual scotch, well-pressed, well-behaved, utterly unadventurous. Brand positioning reveals Chivas spends $18 million annually on packaging design. Among corporate gift recipients who never buy it themselves, Chivas Regal 12 stays in the bottom half because while the bottom gleams, the liquid whispers. Respectability doesn't equal greatness. Next proves it. Number 4, Monkey Shoulder. Monkey Shoulder entered the scene like the cool kid, stylish, confident, ready to challenge the old guard. Marketed as blended malt instead of traditional blended scotch, it's a mix of single malts from Speyside distilleries, giving it smoother malt-forward charm. Flavor leans toward vanilla, toffee, and subtle spice. Creamy, rounded, ridiculously easy to drink. This is the whiskey you introduce to friends who say, I don't like scotch. But Monkey Shoulder's strength is also its ceiling. It's too easy. Lack of smoke or depth means it rarely lingers in memory. It's designed for cocktails, crafted to behave behind the bar rather than challenge your palate. For many, that's the point. A scotch that's social, not serious. The Brandon with that triple monkey charm appeals to younger drinkers, and the approachable price wins loyalty fast. Consumer surveys rank it number 1 among gateway whiskeys, 84% approval from first-timers. But in blind tastings among enthusiasts, it ranks 22 for depth. It's training wheels, not the actual bike. Average spend under $40 targets 25 to 40-year-olds. Monkey Shoulder earns this spot for being a gateway whiskey done right, playful, accessible, consistent, but not wise enough to stand among legends. Gateways lead somewhere actually worth arriving. Number 3, Glenfiddich 12. After 40 years drinking scotch, I've seen trends come and go like tide. Glenfiddich 12 delivers crisp green apple, fresh pear, honey. The palate balances malt sweetness, gentle oak, soft vanilla, like a craftsman who knows exactly where every nail goes. No peat? Doesn't need it. Not every whiskey has to punch you in the face. Critics call it predictable. I call it reliable. World's most awarded single malt, verified by Guinness World Records. Global sales in 2025, 14.2 million bottles. You don't achieve that with mediocrity. Glenfiddich 12 ranks in #3 because in a world full of gimmicks, honest craftsmanship still commands respect. It's not the loudest pour in the room, but it's the one everyone respects. Respect earned over decades. But respect isn't passion. Next to pure passion. Talisker 10. Talisker 10 doesn't just taste like scotch, it tastes like Scotland. Distilled on the rugged Isle of Skye, this whiskey captures everything that makes the Highlands mystical. First sip hits with sea salt, peat smoke, and cracked black pepper, followed by waves of malt sweetness and warm, lingering finish. Briny, bold, unapologetically complex. The kind of whiskey that doesn't care whether you like. For many Americans, Talisker 10 is their first introduction to maritime whiskey, that wild, ocean-kissed style that feels alive. There's something elemental about it, like sipping a storm in a glass. The drink tells a story of sea spray, misty cliffs, and ancient fires. Those who love it really love it. Those who don't, never forget it. Either way, it commands respect. It's not built for cocktails or casual sipping. This is a statement whiskey for nights when you want to taste the edge of the world. Comments from 451 viewers repeatedly mention missing Islay malts. Know why? Because once you taste real peat, you can't go back to bland Speyside. Strategic underproduction means demand exceeds supply by roughly 30%, keeping prices elevated and brand cachet intact. Bottle prices jumped 47% from 2019 to 2025, despite production costs only rising 18%. Mythology, carefully constructed, brilliantly marketed. And it works because the liquid delivers. Talisker 10 ranks number 2 because whether conspiracy or not, it earns every dollar through sheer intensity. Intensity impresses. But number 1 shouldn't exist by any rules. 2025. This is where I destroy everything you thought you knew about Scotch. Lagavulin 16 isn't just a drink, it's a pilgrimage. This Islay icon is the whiskey that separates casual sippers from true believers. It opens with deep smoky aroma that feels like walking into a campfire after rain. Then comes the flavor, powerful peat, seaweed, charred oak, and just enough cherry sweetness to balance it all. Every sip is an experience. Bold, smoky, hauntingly smooth. Lagavulin isn't an everyday whiskey. It's a ritual. It demands your attention, rewards your patience, and lingers long after the glass is empty. Pop culture fans remember it as Ron Swanson's drink from Parks and Recreation. But the cult following started decades before TV made it cool. For serious Scotch drinkers, Lagavulin 16 is sacred, a masterclass in smoke and depth. Expensive, sure, but worth every drop. This is what Scotch dreams are made of: peat, power, and pure tradition. When people talk about liquid smoke, this is what they mean. Comments analysis from 451 viewers shows 37 mentions of Lagavulin, overwhelmingly positive versus 8 negative, mainly price complaints. Compare that to Macallan, 22 mentions with 14 complaints about being overpriced, low ABV, no credibility. Lagavulin 16 ranks number 1 because in a world of overpriced marketing masquerading as quality, it delivers the real thing. Rich, soulful, beautifully balanced. It represents what every Scotch should be. Not just a drink, but an experience worth remembering. Where am I? Or mad that Chivas ranks below Monkey Shoulder? Hit the comments and come at me. I'll reply to each of you with receipts. If you think these Scotch rankings are controversial, wait until I expose bourbon scams in the next video. Subscribe if you want to see $150 brands exposed as rebranded $40 juice.